Welcome back to Faith and Fire. We're so excited that you joined us today as we have a very fun and festive topic for today. We are talking all things holiday season. When I say holiday season, I am specifically talking about the Christmas time of year. It is the red and green season that I absolutely love and what I look forward to every year. And I have two guests here. We have our modern spiritual yogi returning with us and our presiding elder so that we can talk about Christmas. What is it like to celebrate? How do we celebrate, whether you're Christian or non-Christian, the Christmas season? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And you are very familiar with our guests. With us today, we have Dr. Joy back with us. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
And we have Shari.
Yay! So excited to talk about Christmas.
Yay! So let's get into it, okay? It's the Christmas season. So what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, technically I am a Christian.
Okay.
Was baptized, Episcopalian. Mm-hmm. So I've been celebrating like traditional Christmas when I was smaller. Like we would go to service, like we would go to New Year's Eve service, we would go to Christmas Day service. So I grew up going to church on Christmas. And then when we moved to the United States, my mom couldn't find a congregation that she felt comfortable with in our area. So she started to move away from it. And because she was the one who was like really like kind of running the show in that department, we started to veer away from going to church on Christmas. But, you know, we do the whole Santa Claus and the presents and the tree and all the decorations. And in South Africa, Christmas is high summer. So like Southern Hemisphere. So anyone in the summer, like Australians, like we're all celebrating Christmas and it's like 90 degrees outside.
I mean, we're in Arizona. It may also be like that here.
True. Exactly. It's not a huge change for me personally, but you know, it was interesting because it would be like Christmas Day lunch would be like cold salad. And like you would typically do like lunch. And because it was just, you know, I don't know, it was hot. So nobody wanted to be in the kitchen cooking all day to prepare food for, Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
So we always like as a family would get together on Christmas and then we would like drive around to all the family members. My dad was the baby of 9. So we have like a lot of family to visit.
Oh my gosh.
So it was like a big like visiting holiday. It was like a very busy visiting holiday. We would do like 8 different gift exchanges with like all the different parts of the family. And then you do that all morning, starting like early. And then we would end up at my grandma's house for like Christmas lunch. So
well, no wonder you only had salad. You couldn't visit 9 houses and have the kind of food that I eat at Christmas.
No, we would all be comatose. Exactly. We're eating like cold cuts and like chopped salad for Christmas and trifle. Christmas trifle.
Christmas trifle?
That's like a British thing and it's an Australian thing and apparently a South African thing. It's like a layered dessert with like custard, jello,
Yes.
Like a vanilla cake, whipped cream, canned peaches, like the slices, bomb. And then you just like put it in a huge punch bowl and you just layer. You
said punch bowl.
You know, like a...
All of these things I understand individually. When you put them together, I have questions.
I know. There's actually like trifle dishes. They're like, you know, like a thing with like a little foot and a stand. And then like specific, you Google like trifle dishes, like they have special ones. But my grandma would literally take out her huge, like this big beach ball, punch bowl, fill that bad boy all the way up with dessert. And they would feed like, also her sister lived on her block and a bunch of other people lived on her block. So it would be like a block party Christmas. And we would have like 40 people would eat out of this trifle.
So for the holiday potluck, you're bringing trifle.
I got to get South African custard. I have South African custard from my last trip.
Let's do that.
And there's custard in there too. That's the other one. So it's a whole thing. That's South African Christmas. And now we do more American Christmas, I feel like.
Okay.
Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
You know, that's like an American thing.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I thought because it was different. Like everyone was like, no, we don't have lunch. We have like Christmas nighttime dinner. And I was like, oh,
all day,
like roast lamb and things like that.
Like we can eat it at lunchtime, but it's going to be the same meal. So you just decide when we're eating.
When are we doing this?
Yes.
3, not quite lunch, not quite dinner.
Yes. So it's so interesting. So that was a really good point is that you did grow up Christian. And so when you decided to become a yogi, did that shift how you celebrated it all?
No, not at all. I don't feel like my yogiisms and like the things that I've learned there really like have changed or superseded or replaced the traditional holidays that I grew up celebrating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think too, because it's not a religion, like it's a science. It's a way, there are parts of it that pull from religion, other religions like Hinduism and like Veda, like the Vedaism. But overall, it's like a science and a way of living. So there aren't really like holidays necessarily that you would celebrate.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm real commercial with the Christmas. I'm all about it.
I love that. And it brings up a really interesting point, right? So I always have to argue over Christmas and Thanksgiving when it comes to custody because my son's father is Muslim, but he always wants him on Christmas. And I've got questions because I'm like, wait, but I'm Christian. It's my holiday. Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting as we talk about that, right? Because I run into people who are like, well, why do non-Christians celebrate Christmas? And it's really kind of what you touched on is for you, it's a commercial holiday, right? And
it's become, over time. Although I did go to church last year. I went to Christmas Eve service. Yeah. I think since my mom passed, I'm like trying to find ways to connect with her and her memory as much as possible. And I know that that's something that she always wanted to continue and carry on. And, I'm always like open to changing and growing and understanding and finding, whatever my faith is. And understand that Christmas is a Christian holiday. And I grew up with Christmas as a Christian holiday. And, I had a Bible, I had a children's Bible growing up and, all the stories, the Christmas stories. And I was in the nativity and like, I did all the things like at church and would be in the plays and all this stuff. So like, I have like pretty strong ties to of all of Christianity, Christmas.
Yeah.
I feel like that's when we were the most Christian.
Yeah, it's Christmas. It's about
Christ
the Christ. Yeah, the must Christmas. And it's interesting, Dr. Joy, because you're very entrenched in the church, and so you hear kind of. I feel like the church community around this time of year, you hear an outcry of "Let's put Christ back in Christmas," and I think there's really strong feelings about anything that is more on the commercial side. Can you talk to us a little bit about what's your experience been with that, and then lead us into how you celebrate?
Sure. And so Christmas, from my tradition, my point of view, my belief, and how I practice my faith is all about Christ. Like if there was no Christ, there would be no Christmas. Mm-hmm. And I think that in many ways, when folks are saying putting Christ back in Christmas, because we do the routine things. Mm-hmm. We do have service on Christmas. We used to have the saying that sometimes people are CMEs. They go to church on Christmas, Mother's Day, and Easter.
We're going to talk about that in the last one when we get to Easter. Continue.
Right. And so it's part of a tradition. For me, though, Christmas is a way of life. It is because of Christ that I am Christian and I follow Christ. But what tends to happen and how I feel about this is that folks tend to be a little kinder for whatever reason around Christmas. And so it is my favorite time of the year. I can honor that aspect of Christmas that I'm celebrating the birth of my Savior. Mm-hmm. And what that looks like is out of all the days, it's like I have a birthday, right?
Yeah.
But I celebrate me every day. I live out me every day. And so with Christ, I live out Christ every day. Mm-hmm. But I celebrate the birth of Christ on this one particular day. Now, transition to the commercialism. I like lights and glamour and glitz, and I like Christmas giving presents. I don't necessarily need to receive, although I wouldn't be opposed to that, but that's not what it is for me. It's the joy that I see on others' faces when I think about them.
Yeah.
I don't go out of my way to spend all my money trying to buy this and buy that because it's Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing I didn't hear in the list was Christmas trees, but I do remember, Dr. Joy, that you are quite known for your Christmas trees.
Yes.
You want to tell us about that?
I put up about 7 different Christmas trees.
All in the house?
Yes.
7 Christmas trees.
I thought I was balling with 3.
You're right. You remember how Amber in the Halloween, Faith in Halloween episode was talking about how Christmas.
Got it.
Right. And so my neighbor,
the neighbor story.
Yes. Okay. So it was that kind of thing. And they're not all the same size.
You get some skinny ones, fat ones, short ones.
So there's been I moved into the house that I'm in now, probably 6-7 years ago. There's a tree in the corner of my house that moved with the lights on it, the balls on it. It's about 4 feet, and it moved to the new house like that.
Ready to go.
And it was up year round, just up.
It's still up.
I've had year-round Christmas trees for years.
Yeah.
I was a year-round Christmas tree gal for like 3.5 years, and I would decorate the tree for all the holidays. I'd have a Halloween tree. I'd have a 4th of July tree. I'd have like a summer popsicle tree, like a Valentine's Day tree, like all the things. I go hard on all the festive, all the things. I don't know. I feel like it's just a way to mark the passage of time. And it's a way to be celebratory in your everyday life.
Yeah.
And just jazz it up a hair.
You had that high functioning year round tree. My year round tree was just the same tree that I never took down.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That too. I mean, that was part of the reason. First of all, we just like the ambient glow.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no better lighting than Christmas tree lighting.
It really isn't.
There is. Yeah.
So my husband, he was like, well, why don't we put the tree over there? No, the tree has to go right here. It has to go in, the main tree has to go in this particular corner because when I turn the corner coming out of my bedroom and I flip on the light, I don't even have to see it. I flip on the light and the tree glows.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, it's Christmas. And so that tree has its own spot for a very particular reason because of the ambiance.
Yep.
I love it.
See, and it's interesting because even that is commercial.
It is.
Yeah.
So, so the question was asked, well, how can non-Christians celebrate Christmas? It's because of those other traditions that, or things that are accoutrements around Christmas.
Right.
That people tie into. Some like the decorating, some like the lights, it's just different things or aspects of it. Those things individually have nothing to do with the birth of Christ.
Yes. So it's that intentionality that really makes, if you're celebrating because you want to celebrate the birth of Christ, there's a level of intentionality that you bring to the conversation, to the holiday, that you can enjoy the commercial pieces. You can have 84 Christmas trees. You can have 24 angels throughout the house. That's also, I heard, a thing that you do. And, it doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be a bit of both. So maybe when they're telling us, let's put Christ back in Christmas, what they're really trying to say is that they really want us to make sure that in addition to all of the commercial idealism, the presents, the Santa, the tree, that we make sure that we also center ourselves on Christ and who that holiday is about initially, right?
And that's a difficulty, and I understand, and I can feel for people who say that because I understand the sentiment. But then that there's a should on that's involved in that.
That's the part,
right? And I don't think that that's the intention of folk who say put Christ back at Christmas, and it's almost as though they say you don't get to celebrate Christmas if you're not involved with Christ.
Yeah.
And that's not where we are today. Now, having said that, would I would love to have what would a more emphasis on Christ in Christmas look like? Well, what was Christ about? He was about caring about people, right? He was about going out and serving, and looking for the lost and helping those who are less fortunate. That's what it was about. So there's a service aspect of it that I think folks who are not Christian can also buy into.
So what I hear you saying is when we say put Christ back in Christmas, what we're really saying is that we should love one another. We should not judge one another. We should serve mankind and take care of the less fortunate. And that's what putting Christ back in Christmas will look like more of, rather than it being a shooting on someone else and saying, you can't celebrate Christmas your way because it doesn't match my idea of how Christ shows up.
What you heard me say is that is one thought.
Is that your thought?
That's one thought. That's one thought.
So, and I mean, I think that makes sense, right? Is if you're saying, let's put Christ back in Christmas, if we're going to celebrate Christ, I feel like it would be great to celebrate being Christ-like and showing up. As Christians, we want to show up in the world like Christ, live a life like Christ, right? That's our goal. And so what a beautiful thing to center on for the holiday.
But that's not a one day thing.
Exactly. It should be an all the time, but maybe that's your yearly reminder.
Yeah. It's not a one day thing. And so it's really about how we show up to one another.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, most of these holidays they come about because somebody have a bright idea to celebrate something that we probably would be doing anyway.
Yeah. It's just like, so saying that you can't celebrate Christmas unless you're Christian would be like saying you can't celebrate Halloween unless you're a pagan and you're worried about your harvest. I'm just saying.
No Easter eggs for you either.
No Easter egg.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
So I think when people begin to understand faith and fire, peace, faith and life, and faith and all these other things, I think when people begin to understand that faith is not separate from.
Yes.
We come here with a level of working out our faith. Mm-hmm. What does that look like? Right? Christmas, I would probably go up against anybody who tried to take my Christmas lights away from me.
And when you say Christmas lights, do you mean like your inner Christmas joy? Like,
no, that's
physical
all
Christmas
the time.
lights.
I'm talking about the lights.
Got it.
I'm talking about the twinkles and like when you go down the street. Again, it's that ambiance. It's almost like there's a glow on the earth.
oh, for sure.
It
just lifts your spirit.
It does.
I drove by the canal over here in Scottsdale. I was like, oh, the lights are up. And it's just like, it brings like that childlike joy to just like I said, it's like it really lifts up like the everyday. I was in the food court having some dinner before coming over here, and they've got the whole center of the food court is like huge 2-story Christmas tree. They had Santa's throne, and the kiddos were taking their pictures with Santa. And I was like, I could not think of a better thing to people watch than families bringing their adorable kids and their pretty little dresses and whatnot to just go and enjoy. And it's just like all those like little things are what make the season bright.
Yeah. Not to quote a song or anything.
To coin a phrase. The other piece is that you don't have to subscribe to everything.
That part.
Right? So maybe I don't do Santa, but I teach, and when my daughter was smaller, one of the Christmases, yes, we had presents, but there's no, you need to learn it's time to give back. So we would go to the Salvation Army, and we, as a family, went and passed out dinners to the homebound. Because my thing was, you need to understand serving, And so those aspects of, again, being Christ-like, my faith, being Christ-like, are permeated even in this season. Mm-hmm. So we also celebrate Advent leading up to the birth of Christ.
Is that like the calendar where there's candies inside?
They do. That's the commercialized side of that, where they have, it's the countdown.
Yeah.
The countdown to the birthday.
Light the candles at church.
I might have an Advent candle for my birthday. I don't know, the countdown to the coming of Christ. And now we celebrate, that was the birth. And now we celebrate the coming as in recognizing the birth, but also acknowledging that Christ is coming again.
Yeah.
The coming.
So for those who don't know what Advent is, do you want to explain it a little bit?
That was it. It was the waiting, the arrival of Advent.
Sorry, the celebration of as it in its current form. How do people celebrate?
Well, there are many ways. In a traditional church, they would have candles. There would be 4 candles and a center candle. And each week, another candle is lit for an aspect of the season: hope, love, joy, peace.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And so there are scriptures around that again foretell or lead up to the birth of Christ. And so typically you would end with love.
Yeah. What I love about that is, for me, that really embodies the spirit of the Christmas season, because each week we're reminded of one of those attributes like peace, love, that we, really centers on those deep values in the Christian faith. And so for me, I love that weekly reminder as we get closer to the birth of Christ and the celebration of the birth of Christ, in terms of, okay, now I remembering one piece, I'm remembering another piece. And just like you were saying, we want it to be something that a journey we're on all the time, right? That we're on a regular basis. But sometimes we forget. Sometimes we're human. Sometimes we need a reminder to be loving. Sometimes we need a reminder to fix your face, And so I love that, because each week there's a reminder of a different aspect, and you can focus in on it because the sermons center around it, right? So you get a sermon on peace. You get a sermon on love. And if you're getting a good one that has like a nugget in it that you can take back and apply to your life, you may find a new way to be more loving, a new way to incorporate peace into your life, etc.
And so for those who are not Christian but want to, let's just say you just want to develop more character. Right? I want to be, and so I would take Advent and say, I'm intentionally going to, on the week that we're focusing on peace, I'm just going to be peaceful.
Yeah.
I'm going to practice peace.
You can have your own Advent.
And many families do. Yeah. Many families do. And so I'm really just trying to tie it in. Although it is my tradition because of Christ, how I share that with other people, regardless of what their faith tradition is through those character building.
Through those universal traits that we talk about. Oh, you'd be so proud of us, Shari. The other day it came up. What were we saying about just being a good human? It was one of the phrases that you always say, and we were like, oh man, I wish Shari was here. Oh, do no harm.
Yep. Ahimsa. Do no harm.
Yeah. And so it was funny because Dr. Joy ended up saying, at the end of the day, faith and politics, when your preacher voice came out, we said it. She said, at the end of the day, my hope is just to do no harm. And I was like, where's Shari?
Yep. Yep. So like all those, like the peace and the love and like all the things leading up to Advent, like that ties in so much with what, as a yogi, like you're trying to practice every day, and like all of those, like our quote unquote commandments, which if you look at all the various religions and the science of yoga, that's what they all say. Let's be peaceful. Let's be joyful. Let's be loving. Let's be kind. So I feel like to that point of like, do you have to be Christian to celebrate Christmas? Like, I feel like the values that this time of year and this season, that are really like deeply ingrained are universally applicable. And like you said, like even as a Christian, you might not latch on to all the aspects of like commercial Christmas. So I feel like there's like that happy balance where you can enjoy the time of year, the season, the giving, the gratitude, the family time, like all those things, and be a part of it and enjoy the twinkling lights and whatnot, and not necessarily have to be a Christian and be celebrating the birth of Christ.
Yeah.
And if you're Christian, obviously you're doing those things too, but like you said, you don't have to take every single piece of Christmas that Hallmark has told us is Christmas. Right. And you can create your own. And like for you, like Advent is something that is maybe not commercially celebrated, but to me, I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I'm going to go Google that. I'm going to go learn all about it because I didn't really truly understand. Like, first of all, I buy the Jam Advent calendar every year.
Like their jams inside
Their jams,
of the
yes. It's the Bon Maman jam calendar. So it's like you open it, you're like, ooh, fig and persimmon. Yuzu dragon fruit jam.
Where are you getting this calendar?
Amazon.
Oh, okay. I guess I can't talk.
Amazon does Christmas too.
I know.
What can I say?
I can't talk. I did a superhero socks Advent calendar.
Yo, I got a Star Wars Advent sock calendar. I'm all in. I was like, if there's an Advent calendar for something, I got a dog treat Advent calendar.
But that's the creativity of humankind.
For sure.
So when a person hasn't or doesn't subscribe to a faith tradition, but they like an aspect of what's happening, they appropriate it for their own uses, right? Mm-hmm. And then we get to find out that, okay, what we bring to this planet is to be shared.
Yeah. Do you think it takes away from the original holiday at all to have that happen?
So Christ's birthday, the birth of Christ if we read in the text in the scriptures, the Magi, they brought gifts. Mm-hmm. So people say, well, the Magi brought gifts. Why can't we get gifts? Well, I'm standing in for Christ. I want gifts. People make it. Humankind gets really creative on how they're going to justify what they want to get out of life, right? Yep. But I just think that you have to understand that your faith is lived out every day. But what happens, I think, in this season is the vibration on the earth is elevated as people are practicing more kindness, are practicing more giving, are practicing more sacrificial things. The vibration of the earth is raising, so it feels energetically like people are kinder, even in the midst of this craziness that's going on in the world today.
And I don't think that's a bad thing. So I don't feel like it
bad at all.
Takes away from. I don't think it takes away from the people who are like truly celebrating like the deepest, most spiritual aspect of the holiday. Like I don't feel like they should feel like their holiday is less than because someone might enjoy a chocolate advent calendar. Like,
absolutely not.
Right? Like why do you care so much?
What might you tell them to mind their own faith?
Right. It's like I'm not in your house telling you that you can't pray or, read your scripture or whatnot. Don't come into mine and try to take away my dog's pet treat advent calendar.
Okay.
I love it.
Sometimes I think I'm in the wrong business. So commercialization, people figure out how to capitalize on things.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they find out what you like. Right?
Yep. That's the thing. It's like when you capitalize on something, it's not because, it's not like which came first, chicken and the egg. Amazon didn't go, you know what I think would be great? No one's asking for it, but I think that we really need a dog treat advent calendar. Somebody wanted that before they made it.
No doubt.
Well, not Amazon made it. Whoever made it and sold it on Amazon.
Exactly. So I look at it as the creativity of mankind, right? Yeah. To solve a problem that mankind feels serious. So it might be my own problem. I just need to figure out how to solve this. And I solve it and somebody sees it and say, whoa, I didn't know it could be working like that. I didn't know you could solve a problem like that. Let me try it.
Yeah. Like, I didn't know that we could do an advent calendar to remember all the days of Advent. What if I put dog treats in here?
Right, because because it's about families again.
Yeah, those are my kids, okay?
Yeah,
those are my
there
children.
are a lot of folks who have different family structures. Right? And so when we get down to the brass tacks, and for those who are, it's not a judgment, but for those who are very, very strong about a person can't celebrate if they're not thus and such. My question would be, so how are you living this out on days other than Christmas?
Ooh, tell me more about that.
Yeah, because, if you wait until Christmas to show how Christ-like you are, what are you doing on the other days?
This is bringing up a whole thing for me with regards to yoga. Mm-hmm. Because, man, sometimes it's like the spiritual Olympics. Like, I literally cannot go to yoga festivals anymore. I struggle to even go to yoga studios in a lot of places because it's like all of a sudden you're just now this holier than thou individual and you're so connected and so spiritual and so peaceful. Meanwhile, last month, you were at the bar, you get cray, you're doing this, that, and the other. But here, it's like, how many mala beads can I put on? How much patchouli can I rub on my body? How dready can I get my hair? Like, how dirty can I get the bare soles of my feet? As if this is some, representation of what a spiritual person is, what a yogi is, and all this stuff. And it's just like, to me, it's such BS. It rubs me the wrong way. I can't stand it.
It's like,
and then I got to check my own judgment though. Right. So I'm like, ooh,
and why is that coming up for you like
triggering
that?
me.
Yes.
You are triggering me.
Is that when you need to walk in with your mind your own faith shirt on?
100%. But because I don't know, I just I personally try so hard to be real with people and myself and try to catch myself when I feel like I'm, talking a bunch of nonsense. I'm like, no, let's reel it in. So I think so you're talking about people who are all of a sudden around Christmas, you're bro Christian, but the rest of the time, Are you though?
Really? and that's the thing is we have to ask ourselves, what is this? Why am I celebrating? And what does this mean about my faith? Down to the point of, how does my faith look to others who are watching me?
Yes. And the key thing that you said in there was we have to ask ourselves.
Yes.
This isn't an examination that you do of other people. You're not looking at how they're celebrating or how they're feeling and asking, well, how in examining them, right? It's an internal examination. And that's the key, right?
It is internal, but we live in community.
Yeah.
So now if you asked me to help you, call me on my stuff when I'm working on my finances, but I really like Christmas and I want to go and do this. Now I'm going to say, now, is that in your plan, your spending plan?
Yeah.
That's different, right? Mm-hmm. That's different from saying you can't go out and buy gifts. You can't go out and do this because you shouldn't be commercializing Christmas. The reality is, as my family member, as my friend, you've asked me to be your accountability partner. And all I'm going to say is that in your spending plan?
I love that. You're not everybody's accountability partner.
No, I'm not.
And
that's another conversation.
That is a whole conversation. Is that sometimes we bombard people with our judgments out of the kindest of places, but we act like we are that accountability partner because we feel like it's a gift, right? We know that having an accountability partner helps us in our lives. So we think that if we help hold other people accountable, we're doing them a service. But when you think about that and you extrapolate it and you think about all of the gunk it creates for that person as everyone starts to think they're their secret accountability partner, like a secret Santa, and everybody drew that person's name, it's overwhelming and it gets to the point where they're not hearing any of you. And so that reduces the effectiveness that you would have if you truly were an accountability partner and someone they were open to receiving that feedback from.
Well, an accountability partner, you don't have one if they haven't asked you to be one.
Correct.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah. I'm like, even as like a yoga teacher, like I feel like my students feel like I am their accountability partner. It's funny. They'll like come up to me. It's almost like church. Like they'll come up to me and be like, I'm so sorry I missed class. I had to take my grandkids in and then there was a dentist appointment and then it ran late and then there was traffic. And I was like, you don't owe me any explanation, by the way, just so you know. I'm like, I mean, I guess thanks for telling me. I was hoping you were okay because you're here every week and you weren't here last week. But there is like almost that same like, I don't know, people like see me. I think too, because I've been with this one specific group for like 8 years.
Yeah.
Like twice a week. So like we're pretty tight with everyone. So like if somebody doesn't show up, somebody knows, where they're at and what they were doing and whatnot. But I also feel like because we have that close relationship, like they all see me as their accountability partner and they're telling me if they like have been slacking or if they haven't been doing their stuff at home or, they just didn't feel like it. And so they feel guilty and they didn't come to class. So they're going to do 2 classes with me this week and all the things. But nobody asked me
right
to be their accountability partner, but they just assume that I am.
Right.
Because you've built a level, they trust you.
Yeah.
You can't have an accountability partner you don't trust.
Yeah, for sure. And they know I'm just there for their own, best and highest good.
That part. You have their best interest at heart and they trust you. And sister so-and-so at the church who just randomly is there, as much as they may love you in the Christ-like way that they have to because you're their church family member, you are not that trusted advisor. You are not that yoga teacher. I'm sorry, sister so-and-so.
Not looking for you.
No.
To question why I was absent.
Correct.
But back to Christmas. Mm-hmm. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
It is.
For lights and joy. And
Christmas trees and angels.
And nativity scene.
Yeah, I go.
Oh, that too.
I go hard for Christmas. All the things, all the decor. I got all the stockings. My dogs have stockings. Yes. Like, it's funny because I've only had one dog for a long time and I always had 2 stockings, and now I finally have 2 dogs and I'm like, yay.
What happened with the other stuff? Never mind. This is a whole nother conversation.
No, I know. He passed, and then we got a new dog, and then we were like, oh, he's lonely and he needs a friend. And so then we got another dog. So now I have 2 dogs, and they're brothers and they love each other. And they're currently wearing their Christmas sweaters. One has a green sweater, one has a red sweater. And their Christmas presents just arrived yesterday. They're getting banana dog beds, and yes, these
I know that they
banana.
can't wait. Right?
They can't wait.
I love it.
And I've also been buying myself lots of stocking stuffers, and I keep telling my husband, I'm like, wrap that. Just go ahead and put that aside. I can't have it till Christmas.
It's from the dog.
So having said that, I used to, in our house, I would, because I buy stuff throughout the year.
Okay.
I buy stuff throughout the year. And I would put gifts under the tree that I know that for the family we would want, or I know that I would want. And I say, and then the card would just say from Santa.
Yep. Same.
Now, I don't
Yep.
even Santa, but because
it's a convenient placeholder.
Exactly. From Santa.
Which is me. I'm Santa.
Right.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Yep. So.
Oh, goodness.
Why did you put your head down like this?
Because I knew where it was going. I knew where it was going.
One last thing was when we were younger, and sometimes you may not have you might have bought into the commercialism, but we didn't have the money for lots of presents. But I still liked the ambiance, so I would wrap up boxes.
Yeah, just make it
Empty
extra.
boxes.
For sure.
And put them under the tree.
It's festive. I like to wrap my gifts as early as humanly possible so that they can be under the tree the whole time. And I can just look at it and be like, I know what that is. I know what that is. I know what that is. It's for me. That's for me. I bought that for me too, but it's fine because I just get to look at them and they're wrapped. And it's almost like they're more fun wrapped under the tree than when I actually open them and have them.
We are very different humans. I have a large pile of Amazon boxes sitting by my door that will stay there until 2 a.m. the night before,
Like,
or
oh,
actually
man.
the day of Christmas.
I love to wrap the things. I make a whole thing of it. When I put my tree up, it's a bottle of champagne that gets popped. It's all the songs. It's all the movies. When I wrap, same thing. I do like a wrap party. I'll make snacks. And also like right away, I decorated on November 14th. So like I try to get max. I do 2 weeks before Christmas and I leave it up 2 weeks after the New Year so that I can get 2 solid months of Christmas decor in my home.
I'm not mad at you.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. I love it. And then, I do like, the peppermint mocha and my coffee, like all the things. Like, let's just go full holiday flavors all the way. All the Christmas candy. I'm about it. I'm about that life.
I love it.
You're both way more Christmas than me. Like, well, when it comes to the commercial stuff, like the tree, I'm like, oh yeah. How am I going to get that up before Christmas? Usually it's like the weekend before Christmas. It's like, crap, I need a place to put the presents.
Right. I better get that tree up.
Which is probably why it stays up so long. I'm like, wait, I just finally got this thing up. We're not leaving. We're not taking it down now.
No, it's the February. That's March's problem.
July.
Yeah. There you go.
So
during COVID, my tree stayed up with the bulbs and the lights and me coming around the corner and flipping the switch for that obvious for almost 2 years.
Yeah, that was me. Right. Same. It was right around that time. I was like, I need all the joy. I need all the jolly as long as possible. And I think too, because this year I've like really been struggling with the idea that one, my dad's going to be he's in South Africa right now. So he's not going to be around for Christmas. My husband's working on Christmas. So it's the first Christmas in my entire life that I will be alone.
You're coming over, Shari, is what I hear.
I got the invite. I'm finagling. So it's my like sly way of finagling a Christmas invite.
That was very, very good.
But so I've been like really pushing hard on the Christmas everything. It was 99.9 Christmas music. I literally was on it before they had swapped to Christmas music, waiting for them to flip the switch. I was like, is it today? Is it today? Is it today? I've watched a Christmas movie every day. Yeah, just in the background, I'll just put it on. I've seen them all a million times, so I don't have to like pay attention. But I just like to see the Christmassy stuff happening.
Yeah.
When I work, I have YouTube ambiance on. And it's always seasonally appropriate ambiance.
Okay.
So for the last 2 weeks, it's been like Christmas Cabin. in the snow with a crackling fireplace and the snow falling. So then I can pretend in my mind that I'm there while I'm...
Oh, that's so cool.
I feel like we could do this all day, just chatting about how we celebrate Christmas and all the joy and all the commercial
stuff. So much good stuff.
It is.
So, I mean, we talked about a lot of really exciting aspects of Christmas, how we celebrate, how it shows up for other people. If we were to put a bow on this, you see what I did there, and really drive home one particular point that resonated with us from our conversation and something to leave folks with, right, as we wrap up, what would that be? And for me, I think the biggest thing I'm getting from this conversation is similar to Halloween. We can't should on people's holiday. And yes, it may be a holiday that's centered in the birth of Christ, but it is okay for others to celebrate it in a different way than you celebrate it, even if they're celebrating the birth of Christ as well. Or maybe they're not. Maybe they're celebrating Christmas trees and presents. And that's okay. And it doesn't take away from your holiday. But I really love what you said, Dr. Joy, which is what you really want to do is examine yourself. And why am I celebrating this holiday? What does it mean to me? And then that becomes important, because if it's really important to you that Christ is the center of this holiday, then make Christ the center of the holiday for you. And don't should on other people's journey. We mind our own faith.
We mind our own faith. And so at the end of the day, when you say examine yourself, I know God's not going to ask me. He's not going to say, I really like those 7 trees you put up. And that manger scene, I really like that.
How'd you know it looked like that?
Right. God's going to say, how did you love me? Yeah. And how did that play out in humanity? Did you love others?
Yeah. And that leads me into like my bow is like lean in to that. The warmth of the season, the joy of the season, the kindness of the season, the grace of the season, the peace of the season, and the love of the season. Like, that's why I love this time of year the most, is because I feel like it's almost like permission to feel that jolly joy all day, every day. And it's like everything all around me is like reinforcing it. So yes, even though you might potentially be alone, or if you're missing people or you're sad or all the things, like to just allow yourself, and I'm talking to myself right now, allow yourself / myself to just enjoy, like allow myself to just enjoy it for what it is. And just go with it, go with the happiness, go with the joy, go with the commercialization of it, because all of those things really just are the bookend to what I'm really looking for. And that's that like the connection and like that family time and the love that I feel this time of year and how happy that makes me. And so it's okay. Like we're saying, you celebrate any way you want to. And if that means you watch Hallmark movies every day and have 7 Christmas trees, and if at the end of the day, all of that means is that you're feeling the love and the joy, I feel like that's really what this season is all about.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
See, she's already examining herself and what Christmas means to her. We take your advice and we implement it immediately.
Instantly.
I love it. I appreciate you, ladies. I am so excited that we brought the band back together and that the 3 of us got to sit down and chat.
That was good.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining us today on Faith and Fire. We hope that you felt the holiday spirit in our conversation today. If you like conversations like this, be sure to join the gang again for the next Faith and Fire episode. Like, subscribe, and follow so that you can get all of the tea as we talk about future episodes. Thanks for joining. See you in the next episode.